to make an effort to not play Switch during this episode. As much as possible.
You need to put it on the farthest surface away from you in that room.
Dude. It's bad.
I know, because it's come with me to work ever since I bought it.
And it's terrible. Did you see that comic that I posted to Facebook?
Yes.
The problem with Switch's portability? That was me last night, dude. I was up till like 1 a.m, and I had to get up this morning. And 1 o'clock.
I was up till 2 playing Snake Pass.
Yeah. Okay.
And I got up at 6. Ugh.
That's gross, man. And then here we are yet again.
Midnight. It's totally fine. Totally fine. Justin's not here, so the episode's not going to be long. I hope he's watching that, or he at least hears it. I love you, Justin.
Yeah, he's in Eastern time right now, so he's probably already sleeping.
Or out with work obligations.
Yeah, right. Getting sloshed. Is what it, okay, how are we?
Wobble Puffet? Wobble Buffet?
Yeah, there we go. That means we're ready. Yeah, we got 14 comments on that, dude. That's
hey,
crazy.
So should we should probably just say that it's also was Reggie's birthday this week.
Oh yeah. I don't have a. Let's do a quick YouTube search of 8-bit happy birthday.
8-bit happy birthday.
Wesley Willis. Are we live?
Yes.
Haha, nice. There we go. No, this isn't it. Yep, that'll do.
That sounds very weird.
Okay.
That reminds me of the old arcade game Carnival. If you remember that.
I do. No, actually, I don't.
Carnival?
No.
Oh.
Carnival.
All right.
Like a shooting gallery.
Okay, we good?
Yep.
All right. In 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to Nintendo Dads, episode 122, recorded live on March 29th, 2017. So in tonight's episode, Nintendo says E3 will be huge. Splatoon 2 test fire impressions, Nintendo Switch, the search for new IPs, and much, much more. Zach, cue the music.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Nintendo Dads Podcast. My name is Zach Erickson, and tonight is March 29th, 2016. Joining me from VGTribune.com. We're going to figure out how to do this. Jesse Waldeck, what's going on?
Yeah, I was just thinking, hey, I'm no longer going to be the butt of that joke. If I...
Yeah, like there's a Justin-sized hole in this podcast. I don't know. And all that's left is like shamrocks everywhere and like a pot of gold. I don't know what's going on. Welcome, Jesse. How are you, dude?
I'm doing good. Play a lot of Zelda and not much else of anything else.
Nice. Right on. Well, joining us as well from the land of the South, of course, is Marty Estes. What's going on, Marty?
Not much. I tried to do my best Justin Masson impression, but
I didn't even know it was different.
I don't know. I think all you have to do is say like, Zach, cue the music, or do it, or something about that Pokemon thing that he, you know.
Yeah. Where is it here?
Where is the one he really likes?
See, I'd have to turn up the music at the same time. It's on the same soundboard.
Oh no!
I'll do it in a second. Here, I'll turn the music off. And then we'll go, this one?
Wobble Puffet? Wobble Buffet?
There it is.
Like he's here again. Oh.
Yeah, when I finally caught one of those in Pokemon Go, I definitely had to send him an image of it.
Did you name it Justin?
I didn't, but because I got a female one, which of course has like
Lipstick.
little lips, like little lipstick on his big mouth, her big mouth. It was really weird looking.
So funny. Right on. Well, we've got some good music, some good news stories to talk about. We got some cool new games to discuss. So I think we got to get right into it, shall we?
Do it.
Oh yeah.
Do you like that?
I did, man.
Perfectly timed.
Look out, Justin. He's gone forever. He's never coming back.
When he comes back, I will gladly abdicate the throne. The do it throne.
The do.
That sounds like it's.
Yep. That just took us into non-family friendly podcast territory.
So, of course, the news is brought to us by
OneUpBox.com. OneUpBox.com provides you with a monthly geeky box of goodness, and you can go over there and use the the code Nintendo Dads to get $3 off on your first box. You get plushes, stickers, pins, exclusive T-shirts. It's great, and you can go over to our YouTube channel, by the way, and check out our monthly unboxing of those OneUpBox goodies as well. Hopefully that'll push you over, and just go over there and check them out. They're good folks.
Yeah, right on, man. Yeah, that new video. It's awesome to have your kids adorably opening those and being excited about that. That's awesome. Training children right.
Did you notice though that this month they weren't as excited?
Oh,
Like,
really?
you notice, like, my kids, like, no, I mean, like, they love it. And if OneUpBox ever listens to this, they're like, oh, they're not excited anymore. Well, Paul, this. But my daughter did not like that it had a Sonic plush in it this month. Because she's been saying for the last couple of years, like, Isaac always gets the plush, even though she got the Rey plush out of the first one, the Star Wars Rey plush. So she ended up with stuff that, like, she didn't really like because we kind of split it up between them.
Yeah.
So he got like a really cool T-shirt and a Sonic plush, and she got like some Ninja Turtle static clings and a slap bracelet. I was like, well, that's because you're the youngest. Sorry.
Yeah.
Johnny
Oh, that's
Casino
good.
in the chat says, "Take your Switch with you when you go to the Do It throne."
Yeah.
That's true. You can. They've even proven that with a commercial.
That's an advertised benefit of the Switch. Very cool. So, of course, first and foremost this week is the fact that there was a birthday this week that we need to talk about. So we got some happy birthday music here. Of course, that goes to Reggie Fils-Aimé from Nintendo. How old is he now? 56?
56.
56 years young. There you go.
And his body is still ready.
Yeah, and his body is always ready. All right, there you go. So
That wasn't expected at all.
nope. So of course, and that's all I'm going to say about that. Happy birthday, Reggie. As well this week. Is the big news is that Reggie actually at his birthday party, I assume he was probably wearing I was about to say his birthday suit, but that's probably not true.
I hope he was wearing more than that.
Like a party hat, probably having some birthday cake, telling the media that they're excited for E3 and that they have big things for E3 planned. So I want to talk about this for a minute. What do you guys think? If they're planning big things for E3, Nintendo has been irresponsible in how they've managed hype in the past. And I've been hurt enough times by their mismanagement of hype that I guess my default now is to remain skeptical and like, I don't trust you, Nintendo. I don't trust you that you like what your definition of big hype is for E3 is not necessarily what everyone else's idea of big hype is for E3. You know what I mean? Like,
Completely agree.
well, where like I'm thinking of like the amount of hype that went into the E3 where they unveiled Star Fox Zero, and things like that. There were a few where it was like, oh man, like they had that cool thing, but even the way that they presented it screwed up a bunch of stuff too. And like the press conference with Nintendo Land, obviously, like they've screwed up E3 several times before. And so I'm
Vitality sensor.
Vitality sensor, the freaking Wii balance board.
Wii Music.
Don't even go there. That's the worst one of all.
That's a low blow. But so I'm interested. I think it's a good conversation to have. What does E3, I guess, first off, what could they possibly be meaning? And of course, we're getting right into like speculation territory, which of course, anything with speculation just warrants this sort of disclaimer of...
It's like a box of chocolates. You never know what you are going to get.
Right, like that's kind of where we're at. We may end up with a...
Please understand.
After everything. So, so what are we thinking here for E3? What constitutes a big E3? Does that mean we're going to release a bunch of... because on one sense, it could be we're going to release a bunch of unannounced games. We're going to announce all these games. And it's going to be great. A big E3 could also be, we're going to have a sweet booth and show off a bunch of games that we've already announced.
Odyssey.
But we're going to have...
The only game they'll have is Odyssey, just like they did last year with Zelda. I'm kidding. But that would be a mistake. But...
you know what I mean?
I'm going to wager to say that is the opposite of huge. That's the opposite of big. That was quite honestly, that was the most disappointed I've been in Nintendo in a long time.
What, the last year?
Yes.
It's one of those things where if you were there, it was awesome, but if you were us who are not there,
right,
it's not a lot to watch.
We definitely wanted to see more. I mean, Breath of the Wild, now that I'm on the other side of it and playing it and experiencing how awesome it is, does it warrant a large section or maybe an entire booth? Yeah, it does. But at the time, I know plenty of people who just said, you know what, Nintendo has lost it. They're crazy.
And not only that, but like if you hear them talking about what they did at E3 last year, they were very self-congratulatory about how huge their booth was and about how big it was. Like, look at how amazing our booth is, and we turned it into Hyrule Castle, and how, like, you know what I mean? And like,
that
when they mean what they mean when they say, "Oh yeah, it's gonna be a big E3. It's gonna be huge, right? It's gonna be huge." That's what they said last year, and they showed off one game. So I don't know. I
think on my hype scale, I'm expecting it to fall somewhere between that and the year they did the Nintendo Championships. Because, I think the big disappointment with that was they brought those Nintendo Championships back, and there was a ton of hype surrounding that. And then they did their E3 presentation, and it was like, boom, 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 like the sound on The Price is Right when you go over the amount of money. To me, though, and if we want to get into a little speculation here, is that okay?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so I'm going to predict a return of a stage show.
So to you, that would be a big E3.
Yeah, and for the reason I think for that, I mean, it would be a big E3 if they did anything besides just one game to me, but they've already set a precedent for live events with the unveiling of the Switch.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't know if they would do that with Kimishima there and Reggie and Bill and all those guys all together on one stage. But to me, with the amount of momentum the Switch has right now, makes a lot of sense. Put your games up on the screen and let us hear a live crowd reaction to the trailers.
Absolutely.
Because I think that's one of the most exciting things about E3 is hearing people react when they see, or like when they hear that like one familiar sound at the beginning of the trailer or something like that kind of lets people know what it's going to be.
Yeah, for sure. And I think too, like, it's one thing, like, looking at what a stage show or because I think the fear is that Nintendo in the past several years has been very hesitant to show off anything that is not like within the calendar year. Maybe, you know what I mean? Like maybe extending into the second half of 2018. And what Nintendo really needs to do at E3 is get people as hyped as possible for the future of the Switch beyond 2017. Because I think that they've done a really good job at hyping people up for Splatoon 2, which we're going to talk about in a minute, Mario Odyssey, Fire Emblem Warriors. Am I missing something in there, or is that literally the three games?
Odyssey. Did you say Odyssey?
Yep.
Okay, yeah.
The indie games.
That's about it.
Right? Like we need more than that. And I don't think that Breath of the Wild and Super Mario Odyssey, I think that that's great. I think that those are two games that are going to be amazing, and they're going to knock it out of the park, and they're going to drive a lot of people to the system. But 2 games does not a system make.
No.
And they really, like, having now beaten Breath of the Wild, I'm looking for games. I've got, you know what I mean? Like, I am still playing Breath of the Wild. I've got 20-something shrines left, but I'm looking for
I think
games.
that's why I'm delaying beating it, to be honest. Because I know that there's an inevitability that when I do finish this game, I mean, you know, I'm not going to finish everything, of course, you know, by beating Ganon, but
and I'm seeing here, like, sorry, go ahead.
No, I mean, it's just like there's an edge that's taken off, right? I mean, did you feel that way when you beat it for the first time? It's like I've done the main thing. I've really I've achieved the heart of the game, I guess, or whatever you may want to call it. Now the rest is just gravy.
It was after I beat it the second time that I felt that way. The first time, because I hadn't collected all of the memories, I felt like, oh crap, I got more to do, because it makes it pretty clear that that's the case. And so I was like, oh crap, I got more to do. And then I went and collected all the memories, and then I was like, oh, okay, never mind. So, and then after that second time, now basically I'm like, yeah, but now I want to see that true ending with in the Hero of the Wild tunic after I've beaten all 120 shrines. Yeah, that is like my ultimate goal in this game. There's no way I'm going for the Korok seeds. Forget it. But
you don't want a Korok poop?
No, I don't. but yeah, no, I'm seeing in the chat too. Mario Kart 8. Yeah, what I'm talking about specifically is at E3, Mario Kart 8 will be out. Hopefully,
I'm hoping Splatoon is too.
No, ARMS is coming before Splatoon.
Oh, that's true.
ARMS is spring. Splatoon is summer. So Splatoon will not be out by then. ARMS should be out by then, but it may not be. I'm expecting ARMS late May, I would say.
Yeah, there's always a late May game. Mario Kart 8 was that when it came out. The original Splatoon was that.
And I think ARMS is going to be that this time.
That'll be a fun summer game.
That will be a fun summer game. It'll be. I'm hoping that I think as Mario Kart gets closer, we're going to see additional characters announced for that. And
I want to go back to something that you said though just a minute ago, Justin. About you said that Nintendo's real job now is to get people hyped for the future of the Switch, not just what's like down the pike this year. And I think that's where Nintendo has been kind of weak in the past as far as presentations to the media and to fans. Yeah. That there's a little bit of short-sightedness. It's never about, hey, this is coming and we're going to make you wait on it and the wait's going to kill you, but the end product's going to be good. Because, I mean, like, think about how long ago Sony announced Horizon Zero Dawn and other games like that, you know, that took years of development and then finally came out and they're amazing. I need to see, like, from E3, like, I want the stage show and I want to see what I'm going to be playing in 2018.
Yeah.
I want to, and I don't want, like, oh, here's some concept art of Link running down a mountain, or and working title, you know, Hyrule working title, you know, like, no, I don't need to see that. I need working games. Mm-hmm. Like, I need to see that, because I think that, you know, they're definitely trying to they're not going to reach the scope of Breath of the Wild with Mario Odyssey, but they're trying. They're trying. Do you really think it's going to be that expansive?
No, I don't think. I think that
that's what I'm talking about. The sheer volume of map and everything.
The quality of the game could be just as good.
Oh, that's what I'm saying. I like the quality is going to be good, but like when you beat a Mario game, are
Yeah.
you really going back and looking for the Mario shrines, or you get what I'm saying?
No, but you do go back and you collect all of the green coins or the whatever.
Sure,
right?
sure.
But I hear what you're saying for sure.
I need to see that there's going to be something with meat in it, because Zelda has set the bar really, really high.
Yeah. In the chat here, Chris, I apologize, Gentelio. I would be happy with some sort of virtual console announcement at E3, and then Johnny Casino says that's a must. Yes.
Oh, thank you guys. Yeah, absolutely.
Like straight up, I'm not even joking. I know we say this every year. Mother 3 at E3, like unveil virtual console.
Oh, for real? Come on.
That I think that's like Nintendo. That's a gimme for you. You do that, and you have nailed the virtual console launch, right? Like do that, and like one GameCube virtual console game with more on the way in coming weeks. You know what I mean? Like that would be a huge deal. That would be huge.
If they announce, like if they walked out on stage at E3 and said
with the Mother 3 trailer.
Yeah, if they start with that and then they go, okay guys, so Mother 3 and all these other virtual console titles are going to be available via the new Nintendo Virtual Console download service for $9 or $10 a month. Yes, like mic drop, walk away, mic drop, show everything else on the show floor.
Yeah, and pull a, and it's available right now.
Oh,
right?
They need another one of those. Like even if it's just a Picross, and I'm not slamming Picross or
Rhythm Heaven last year. Was it last?
Yes.
Oh, so good.
Yeah, like hey, by the way, do you think this game's cool? Because you can go download it right now.
Yeah. By the way, I was thinking, I posted this on Twitter today, but I had this realization. Everyone's like, "Oh, what's next for Zelda? What's next for Zelda?" I'll tell you exactly what it is, because they're pushing the local multiplayer thing of the Switch. It's a new Four Swords game, top down. I almost guarantee
I would be okay with that.
Like the GameCube Four Swords Adventures style, where it's make it a big game. I would be totally okay with that. That'd be awesome, actually, to be able to sit down and be like, "Here, friend, have a Joy-Con, play Zelda with me right now." Like that would be wicked.
That would be super cool, because I mean, like having a 4-member family.
Yeah. Oh yeah, dude.
And I have 2 full sets of Joy-Cons. I can get everybody in my family playing Zelda right now.
Biggest problem with that is your number of displays are very limited. Whereas the original Four Swords, if you actually played 4 players with the 4 GBAs, you literally have 5 screens going on. And that was really fun to, like, one person can go in the house, they have their own little mini view of the inside of the house, while the other 3 are still doing their own thing outside.
Yeah.
That was fun.
Let's take that idea of local multiplayer. What other games can you see that they have done in the past that they could very easily push out? I wouldn't be surprised if they have another new Super Mario Brothers, whatever, like
Metroid Prime Federation Force.
Oh.
I had to say it because it's there.
Actually, you know what though? If it was like a 2-player split screen co-op, I would do that. I would actually. That's a much more interesting. It's also it's a much more interesting proposition. I don't think you could do it with the Joy-Con sideways though. No, that would be. But you could do it with like a full controller, like a Joy-Con pair.
Another thing that I would love to see them come out and do is that we're going to push a system update to you guys this summer, like today. Like it's available today, that enables download play for certain titles, for certain first-party titles. Mario Kart.
We know there is already that capability for systems to communicate with each other, as like to get updates for like, oh crap, you have a different update than I do, and you can update because somebody else has that update, and so you can wireless transfer the update file even if you're not connected to the internet. That's already there, so that's halfway, in my mind at least, that's halfway to freaking download play, just right there. You know what I mean? So But no, yeah, I hear what you're saying. Also, just adding like, okay, let's get a proper eShop. Let's get a folder system. Let's add themes to the Switch.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was going to lead into. Going back to the original question of what we were hoping to see at E3, I'm expecting to hear a lot of new content that we haven't heard of before, mainly because the biggest complaint from after the end of the January reveal was the lack of games. Why is there lack of games? Because they didn't give us everything. They only gave us what they were going to give us in the first quarter of fiscal year quarter. I figured that there's going to be a lot more new stuff coming later in the year and into 2018 for that E3 stuff. So I'm still expecting that. And I'm expecting the Virtual Console, what the online infrastructure is going to be, how much that's going to cost, when that's going to start, and as you said, updating eShop and the menus to give us the folders and the extra stuff that had been missing, like save your credit card information. I want that.
Yeah. Basically bringing that. Yeah, I did see a theory or something.
Pretty much.
Somebody
switch firmware 3.0.
Yeah. Somebody had hypothesized that basically that the actual Switch interface, the actual Switch OS is coming in when that online system is in play, right?
I could see that.
Like that's when the Switch will be done. It's still kind of in beta right now. Like it's pretty not non-functional, but it's very minimally functional. It's not a multi-purpose device, and I'm sorry, when this thing is basically a tablet, there's no reason that it can't have certain types of functionality that it doesn't have right now, like an internet browser, like Netflix, stuff like that. Where I'm like, you know what? I could just as easily do this on here, and if I had the option of doing it on here, I would. But right now I don't. By the way, Nintendo, I think somebody said it before, but like, if I hold down this power button, I want to have just an option to go to the home menu. Because, again, playing a touchscreen only game without the Joy-Cons attached, can't even go to the home menu right now. I know I said that last week, but fix it. So yeah, anything else about E3 as far as like what we think is going to be happening? I think that they are going to show off. They're going to devote a lot of booth space to Mario. Like that's going to be like the big draw for Nintendo this E3.
Oh yeah.
They're going to show off more of like Fire Emblem Warriors, I think.
Yeah,
do you think we see Fire Emblem, the actual Fire Emblem Switch game?
No, there was. They just basically said there is going to be one.
I don't think we'll see it at this E3.
Yeah.
That to me, we're getting Hyrule Warriors. We're getting Fire Emblem Warriors on the Switch and the 3DS. I'm going to make a prediction here that is the last Fire Emblem that we will see for the 3DS.
Yeah, I think that's
because if they're moving to the Switch, that's going to be a permanent move. And I'm okay with that, because if they were able to do what you were just talking about with tablet controls and make it where I could play that without the Joy-Cons attached anytime I wanted to and play Fire Emblem just by touching.
Oh, dude,
think about how awesome that would be.
That would be interesting for sure. So yeah, I think, I don't know, it's all really interesting. I always take things Nintendo says with a grain of salt lately. Because it leads me to be a little bit more impressed with what they do.
Well, let's get into a little bit of something else that we're going to talk about here. I think this would be a good segue for this. That Nintendo did also say that this week, Reggie also said this week that Nintendo is aggressively seeking new IPs.
Right.
And did he call it forms of play?
Yeah.
New ways to play. I would imagine that we would see at least one of those.
I get the sense that they are on the prowl for the Switch's version of Wii Sports, because they realize, for one, that 1-2 Switch is not that.
No.
And they really, really want it. Like, I think they're really hungry to recreate the Wii Sports hype for the Switch. And I'm skeptical that they will find it, honestly, is like Wii Sports was lightning in a bottle,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know if they're going to be. It's almost the kind of thing that you don't get to consciously create that. That is something that just sort of that accidentally becomes as big as it is.
But you can't tell me that you would be upset if the Wii U version of Wii Sports Club got ported to the Switch, and you were able to take it and play it anywhere with the Joy-Cons.
Oh
Like-
no, that'd be amazing.
Like,
No,
being able, like, think about like taking it with your kids, like, and you're out at the park, and all of a sudden it's like, hey, you want a bowl? Sure.
Yeah. I think that they definitely need to ditch the Wii U's pricing structure for that game.
Oh, absolutely. Sell it as one package and be done with it.
Sell it at the same price. If they would have basically taken that version of that game, or like Wii Sports Resort or something like that, and did that instead of 1-2 Switch, that would have been amazing. And like same price, everything.
Maybe I'm in a minority here, but I would actually like to see a sequel to Wii Sports Resort. My family had a lot of fun with that game. We still play that game.
Really?
The sword fighting, the frisbee throwing with the dog. I mean, some of the games worked and some didn't, but
So you don't think Pilot Wings was that sequel?
No, I don't.
But yeah,
I mean, like, Nintendo made that big deal about that island when they came up with, it's Woohoo Island. You'll see this everywhere. Have we seen it everywhere?
It was in Mario Kart. It was in Pilot Wings. It was in Smash Brothers.
To me, that 5 or 6 games doesn't quantify everywhere.
I think Miyamoto said it was going to be a recognizable Nintendo character, just like Mario. I think he actually went that far.
This island, yes, I remember that. That was a ridiculous statement then. It's still ridiculous now.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think it'll be interesting, but I do think. So what kind of IP do we think is going to be? What kind of IP are Nintendo pursuing then? Like, do we think it's going to be like another Wii Sports type game, or what would it be?
I think it's going to be kind of a two-prong approach myself, as that's what they've done here at the early part of the Switch. They're like, oh yeah, there's 1-2 Switch and Breath of the Wild. There's something for hardcore gamers. There's something for the casual crowd we're trying to get. So I expect to see something fun and light, that's easy to pick up, that grandma might play with you or something like that. But then, I'm trying to rack my brain for what is a genre of game that Nintendo has not tried to put their Nintendo spin on? Because we've got racing, there's fighting, there's
real-time strategy and shooters.
Real-time strategy and shooters. So what is one that Nintendo has not tried to put their own spin on? And I'm not talking about like an in-house Monolith Soft or Retro or whatever. What have they not tried to do?
Yeah, I don't know. And again, with them saying that it's that they're MOBA. Oh jeez.
Oh my gosh.
Smash Brothers MOBA.
Actually doesn't sound that bad.
Like basically
that
Heroes
sounds
of
horrible.
Take Heroes of the Storm, but put all Nintendo characters. Like
that sounds awful.
Mushroom Kingdom Watch.
Oh man. But really though, like I think there could be something to like Nintendo's take on that more the hero style combat game, like basically Overwatch and Heroes of the Storm both kind of have that same core hero abilities mechanic sort of thing.
Just first person versus third person.
Yeah, exactly. But the same sort of like hero structure is very similar. It'd be interesting to see them do that, just to kind of have that, and they kind of have that with Smash Brothers, where it's like, yeah, you've got this certain number of abilities, and it's a fighting game. I would like to see them take the Smash. I don't even care what genre they do, but basically just take the Smash Brothers concept of all Nintendo characters and just start doing it in other. Like I've said, Super Smash Kart is something they should have done a long time ago.
Absolutely, yeah.
Right?
To be honest with you, I think doing something like a true role playing game
Yeah, to
but
do like
I mean, like
a Kingdom Hearts with Nintendo characters.
yes, and hey, and guess what you can do with that? You can integrate Amiibo.
Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh. Yeah. That's
also sounds horrible.
It does. I mean, it sounds horrible and fun at the same time.
But I mean, Breath of the Wild integrated Amiibo really well. I don't see why Nintendo can, or why.
You know what I think is funny is in our whole conversation here, not once have we mentioned third parties.
Yeah,
and I think that's because we don't expect it anymore. But I do think that for them to have a big E3, there's got to be a fairly sizable third party presence as well.
Mm-hmm. Well,
and not just from the usual culprits. Like I don't just need to see like Ubisoft and who are the Ubisoft and I guess pretty much Ubisoft. and Ubisoft and Warner Brothers showing off some Lego games. Like I need to see more than Activision.
EA showing off their FIFA game, and I don't know that
my son would love to see Call of Duty coming out on this thing.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, and if Snake Pass is any indication of how well Unreal Engine 4 translates to the Switch, it will at least be getting those games. They won't be the best version of that game, but it runs pretty well.
It doesn't have to be the best version, just as long as it's passable.
Yeah,
as long
exactly.
As it's playable with the expected frame rate. You lose some shaders, you lose some sparkles, but that should be expected. No one should be surprised by that.
You lose that, but you gain portability.
Right.
Yeah, and I think that is a trade-off that a lot of people are willing to make. I think I have heard that several times from people. As Snake Pass approached, they were like, do I want this game do I want it to look really nice and shiny, or do I want to be able to play it on the bus? And the bus wins out, right? The convenience wins out for a lot of people over actual just how it looks. So, and
I think that's funny. Well, I don't think it's funny. I think it's Nintendo's brilliance. I think they're saying, yeah, we can do this game, and it may not look as good, but boy, you can take it with you. I was trying to explain the Switch to somebody the other day and why it was such a big deal as to a non-gamer, and I was like, did you ever have a moment when you were a kid and you were playing like your favorite game? Like for me, I remember the first time this happened was I was playing Super Mario Brothers 2, and my mother says, it's time to go to church. And I was like, I don't want to go to church. I want to play Super Mario Brothers 2. And I was kind of like Napoleon Dynamite. God, let me alone. And like, I just remember like, I just for some reason this memory came back to me the other day, like walking downstairs and looking at my parents and saying, I wish there was a way to play this in the car.
Yep.
And I just told him, I was like, that's if you have that moment from when you were a kid, then your boyhood dream has now come true.
I don't know if I've told this story before, but I actually, when I graduated high school, me and 3 of my friends went on a road trip. This would have been in 2003. Is
this where you played the GameCube in the car?
Yes, we had like how big of a?
You've told us the story before. It was pretty.
Yeah,
good.
it was like a CRT TV, like a tube TV that sat in between the 2 front seats.
The driver thought he was going to get radiation poisoning.
Exactly, yeah. And so like we had the power inverter, so we plugged in the GameCube and the freaking thing, and it was like a 12-hour drive to get to like Salt Lake or whatever. And we played X-Men Legends on the GameCube for like a good 6 hours, and then finally my friend's like, dude, I'm turning this thing off. I'm getting radiation poisoning. It's making me nauseous. I don't know if it's the heat or what that's coming off this thing, but like he made us turn it off, and it was. But yeah, like we played the GameCube in the car like that, and so like for the Switch, it's just like, oh man, can you imagine? Now anytime I want to play a game in the car, or if my kids want to do it, just get like a little thing, strap it to the back of the seat, the back of the headrest, hand them the controllers, and just go to town.
Yeah, if they want. The original announcement trailer back in like October showed an accessory that you could slide into.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's ever going to come, but if that did, that'd be kind of cool.
the EB Games up here, I think they must have just marketed this when the Switch came out. They just put it along all of their Nintendo accessories, but I think it's just a tablet holder for the back of the car.
So something kind of generic.
Yeah, it's got like that sort of clamp style tablet holder, so that you just like you kind of squeeze it to hold it in place. But yeah, it's like they sell them at EB Games, and they're kind of like, it's compatible with the Switch. Biogenic car mount. There you go. And it's literally just it's got the 2 feet on the bottom and then the one on the top, and it just clamps on like a little claw thing. It's $40 for that though, which.
Well, the official Nintendo one will be like $70. Yeah,
exactly.
Or the blood of your firstborn, whichever one comes first.
So I'm excited. You're right though. It's crazy. So, very cool. Looking forward into some of these other things. Maybe what we'll do. I think the other big thing we want to talk about is the Splatoon 2 test fire. But really quickly, is there any of these other stories? Pocket Rumble was supposed to come out this week. Not happening. They're not saying why. Which is really sad because I was looking forward to that.
That's like the only type of game that I don't have for the Switch yet is a fighting game. Yeah. And I mean, I know that I could buy King of Fighters or whatever, but I never got into those games. So I wanted this one. Mainly because it really, really reminded me of like SNK or someone put out a weird, like super deformed version of Samurai Showdown for Game Boy Color back in the day.
Okay.
And it was so awesome. Like I remember, it was like all the little guys were like 2 inches tall, and they're running around, and it was like the full game. It just had this weird super deformed art style. So, I love that game, and it looks Pocket Rumble looks a lot like that. And yeah. I hope that whatever it is, it's not like some huge game breaking issue or whatever.
Yeah.
Did you hear about the controversy a little bit about Lego City Undercover?
Yeah, so it turns out it was all for nothing. Yeah. The packaging says it requires 13 gig download. If you download it from the eShop, it's only 7 gigs. So that was my first red flag of wait a minute, what? And it turns out that no, the whole game is on the cartridge. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Like you don't actually need 13 gigs of space. I don't know who decided that they needed to put that on the cartridge.
Oh, and the always on internet connection.
Yeah. And I don't think that's
No, they said that's not that.
I mean, I'm sure.
Have you played that game?
No, I haven't. You
don't need an always on internet connection for that game. There's nothing about it that needs an always on connection.
Well, the original thought when that box art came out was, they were as a cost saving measure, they went with the less than smaller 10 gig card versus the 20 gig card. So they have 7 gig on cart, and then require you to have a 13 gig download on top of that, and which would have presumed then that the eShop purchase would still do the same thing, because the eShop download would be the same as the cart. It would still require the download, but all of that turns out to be no. The 7 gigs is the full game.
Yeah, which I mean that makes sense. I think so that game's coming out next week, right? And Graceful Explosion Machine's coming out next. Which looks like an acid trip. It looks great. It looks so good. I'm looking forward to that. Although, there are other games that I was really excited about, and then I played them, and I'm like, "Ooh, this is hard," and not necessarily in a fun way.
Yeah.
We'll get to
those. Graceful Explosion Machine is on Thursday. Lego City is on next Tuesday.
Yeah. So next Thursday, you're saying? So a week from tomorrow.
Yeah. So no, as of right now, there is nothing big looking coming to the eShop tomorrow, unfortunately for Switch. The only thing that I've been able to find is Metal Slug.
Yeah.
The archive version is coming out.
Yeah. Which, by the way, is it just me? I don't have any connection with any of those Neo Geo games.
Neither do I.
They all kind of look the same. How many fighting games are on the freaking Switch right now of those weird arcade obscure Japanese fighters?
Well, you've got to have King of Fighters 93 and King of Fighters 94 and 95.
Yeah, exactly. I have no idea what any of those are.
It's like it was
those. They increased the version number, unlike like the 75 different versions of Street Fighter 2.
Well, that's true. But I was going to compare that to Street Fighter 2. I mean, that was their kind of that was their answer to Capcom.
Yeah.
But man, there are some people who swear by those games, like that is the end all be all of fighting games.
Yeah.
You know, I had a chance to buy a Neo Geo cabinet years ago for like $150, and that would have come with like 6. I think came with 6 games installed, which of course the games can be swapped in and out with other game modules. That's the way those arcades worked. But I just didn't have the room for it. Otherwise, I would have been such an easy purchase to pick up.
Yeah.
But oh well. And then when I did go back there, actually almost ready to buy it, I was thinking about it still. It was gone.
Yeah. Craziness. All right. Well, with that, I think we've got let's jump into what we've been playing, shall we? Because we've got some stuff to talk about with that.
Absolutely.
So, I think the first thing here, this is an old clip, but...
Okay, I'm a squid.
There you go. Splatoon 2 Deathfire happened. And, okay, so let me just tell you a little story. I don't know if so I went to a concert on Friday night and missed the 9 o'clock, it was 9 o'clock mountain on Friday. And so I knew that kind of going in, like, the first test fire is going to be my only chance today to be able to play it. And I bring my Switch to the school because I have stuff I got to do at the school. Try and connect my Switch to Wi-Fi. And there's the Wi-Fi that they have at the school, you put in like your email information, like your student ID, login and password to connect to the internet. And for some reason I select that Wi-Fi network and it asks me only for a password but not my login. And I'm like, what? Like it was weird. Like I didn't understand it was just the Switch is not compatible with that kind of Wi-Fi apparently. And so then I tried to log into like guest Wi-Fi and it wasn't working. And so finally I paired it to my phone. And I'm like, all right, this thing is paired to my phone. Let's try this. And I spent the entire hour staring at the connecting screen, and just getting that. I didn't get into a single game. And I wonder if it ended up being like something, because other people in Canada that I knew, like my brother who lives just a few hours south from me, still in Canada. He didn't get connected to a single game. I know Lloyd Hannison from the Nintendo Pulse podcast. I think he was saying that he didn't get into any games. It just kind of sucked. And I was like, this is really disappointing. Like at first I even said on Twitter, I was like, now remember everybody, this is a beta. So if you have connection issues, then just get over it or whatever. And then like 20 minutes in, I was like, okay, no, let's get our act together here. And then by the end of that hour, I was just like so ticked. But I ended up getting in on Saturday and getting to play a bit of it. And it was good. It was I don't know. What are your guys' thoughts on it? Jesse, you don't play Splatoon.
No, but my daughter, I did download it and to have my daughter try it, and because she was interested in it, and I think she did 2, maybe 3 of the, probably just 2 of the hours it was open, and
okay.
I think each hour she had problems connecting up front, but once she got in, she was in.
Mm-hmm.
And this was using a wired connection, not Wi-Fi, so that probably helped.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay. Makes sense. What about you, Marty? How did you like it?
I loved it. I got to play Friday, the first session there. It was like the early afternoon session. Mm-hmm. Because I'm off on Fridays, so I got to play in that. That one was really easy to get into. Because there weren't a lot of people out, playing Splatoon at 2. It was like 2 p.m. my time, so still people at work and school.
Yeah, so that was the one that I didn't get into at all.
And I played that night, and the cool thing was, if you've been a listener for a while, you know that we have very limited internet at our house where I live. We have satellite internet. I was actually able to get in a few games on that system that night at the 10 p.m.
Nice.
Like sitting in my house, and it was pretty cool. What
you had problems with the original Splatoon, or did that one work?
Yeah, I did. Which I do want to point out that there's some group, there's a Twitter user that goes by Octobyte that he measured what's called a tick rate. And for those of you who don't know what that is, it's how often per second the server sends updated data to the game client. Splatoon 1 had a tick rate of 25 hertz. Splatoon 2 Global Test Fire was half of that, like 12 to 12.5. So basically what they're saying is that comparatively, like say this, Splatoon 1 was 25 hertz. Overwatch is 63. Counter-Strike Go is 64. And Rainbow Six Siege is 60 hertz. So basically what they're saying is that because of that, people can be pretty sure Splatoon 2 is going to work just fine. It basically, and in low connectivity environments as well.
Is that what I would cautious anybody making any sort of judgments that that's a final?
Version. Yeah, I would too. Because I mean, you're here on Global Test Fire with 2 maps and 4 weapons, right? Now the other thing about that though is that, or what I was going to say, the funny part about it was, my home internet connection would not have any of the splat roller. Like anytime I tried to play as the roller, it would just connection lost. But I could play as the splatter shot just fine. Now I don't know if I was causing all the other people on the map to lag out or whatever, but I was doing great. I probably was I was probably running through walls and stuff. But something I played this game with the Pro Controller mostly at my office, but there was a time during that 2 p.m. on Friday I was like, you know what, I just want to try this out as a handheld and just sit here and just experience that. I was really surprised at how good it felt. Mm-hmm. Because I mean the difference is, if you're playing on the Pro Controller, you're not tilting the whole TV to fire.
That probably feels more natural if you're used to the original Splatoon playing on the gamepad.
Yeah.
My daughter thought it was weird at first until she got used to it that the controls were still tilting around the Joy-Con.
All I know is I really hope that you can remap some of the buttons, because Splatoon got me used to jumping with the X button. And then they changed it to that mini map view.
I think part of the reason why they did that is for things like the Splat Dualies, because you use that jump button to roll, and so it's much more natural. If you're going to be using that button more often, having it on the bottom makes sense because
my only comment about all the weapons and things is that the dualies having the roll is a little unfair, and not giving that to other. I'm hoping that there will be other combinations and quote unquote additions of other weapons, that cross over some of those abilities and things like that. Mm-hmm. I mean, I wouldn't expect to roll with a paint roller, but I would think that, there's a
thing
like a spider shot. Yeah. Like your single fire, you can probably roll, or give that one a run, or give that one a special ability, give them all special abilities. But there were many times that I was just I was like, oh yeah, I'm about to splat this guy. Oh, he rolled out of the way and now I'm dead.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just I don't know. It was interesting. My thing with it was I had a couple of things that I noticed. My very first initial impressions were, yep, this is Splatoon. Right? It doesn't feel like they changed a whole lot. Yes, there's new abilities. That's cool. But the core gameplay is there. And that's that's both a good thing and a bad thing, I guess. In the sense that yep, it's the same game. But it doesn't I'm interested to see what new game modes they bring in. I think that's going to be really important. They had the tower capture or whatever, capture the towers, and they had the Rainmaker in the other one, on the more pro version. I'm blanking on what they called that mode, ranked mode, stuff like that. Where it was like, okay, like let's figure out what other types of modes do we have coming into this that are going to keep it fresh. Pardon the pun. But also like let's look at more weapons, and really what does the single player look like, and is there some sort of a mode for like mods or training against not mods, bots, so that if I'm somewhere without Wi-Fi, can I still get my money's worth out of this game? I think that those are all still questions that are up in the air that I think are important for them to address in order for this game to really be a knock out of the park. I think that the fundamentals are there though, and I think that that's an important part. For sure.
I think the one thing that I noticed, and I don't want to miss this, is that this is like the first full-featured shooter on any console that is totally portable.
Yeah.
And to me, that's a huge thing, because as someone who doesn't have reliable internet, that means that I can go and, like before, where I had to get my Wii U and get the power brick and get the thing, get all the stuff to carry with it to be able to move it to a place with internet so I can play Splatoon. Now I just got to put my Switch in its case. Mm-hmm. And even if I don't want to play with it in handheld mode, all I have to do is pack my Pro Controller. Yep. And then I can just prop that sucker up and play. And as full featured and as widely supported and played as Splatoon was, this is going to be, I really think this is going to be a major hit for Nintendo with this. And I'm not just like talking like, a bunch of people like Splatoon. Like, I think it's going to be a big deal. I hope it's a big deal. And I know they're kind of positioning it for like esports and stuff.
Yeah.
But just the fact that I can take it with me, and I love the bot idea. I hadn't even thought about that. That, just like give me something. I don't want that to be the single player campaign. Like, I don't want it to be like Titanfall. The original Titanfall was just a bunch of bot missions with a loosely looped in story. Mm-hmm. I would love a real good first player or single player mode. Splatoon had it, but not really. But it had the bosses. There was some thought put into it.
I really liked that single player campaign. I played through that in like 2 sittings. It was really, really good. I would love like one that's like at least twice as long though. Mm-hmm. Like, it was way too short.
Definitely.
For sure. Have you seen this game's version of the Squid Sisters? The band?
Oh. Wet Floor.
Yeah. Such a stupid name. Yeah, they're Wet Floor, and they're like a band, and there's like some dude on like synth and a guy on vocals, and
is it? I highly doubt they're going to get rid of Callie and Marie.
There's no way that they got rid of them.
Like, I think that's just like a way of introducing more characters into it.
They can to Amiibo.
I want to know who the new cat is. I mean, is it Judd and Dud, or
Judd and Judd Jr.? I don't know.
Judd and Bud. That's probably what it's going to be. But he's like
Bud.
He's Judd and Bud. This may be totally weird, but am I like the only one who wants a little backstory about why they're the only cats, and everyone else is like weird squid kids and urchins, and then like there's just this cat that they let lay around and officiate splat matches all the time? Like, does nobody else want to know about this?
They kind of, Jesse, by the way, I put a link in the chat that kind of shows the 5 different characters there. They're just like, it's like cover art for like an album or something. But it's I think, well, they kind of had those science what were they? The little documents that you could pick up in the single player campaign that kind of fleshed out the lore of the world.
Oh yeah.
I think it would be interesting to kind of get more of that. And it gets dark like that. So it's almost like post-apocalyptic.
Well, yeah, I mean it's the Super Mario universe after they didn't rescue the Shine Sprites.
Yeah, like it's crazy.
After Bowser Jr. went crazy with the paint.
Yeah. So that's Splatoon 2. Do we have anything else to say about that before we move on to these other 2 games that came out this week?
Yeah.
Okay. So the next one is I think Has Been Heroes. I got a review copy of this from the developer over at Frostbite, and so I started playing this one. When did I start playing this one? Like Friday, I want to say.
Hey, before we get an actually, it's Frozen Byte.
Is it really Frozen Byte?
It's Frozen Byte.
Why am I thinking Frostbite? Okay, Frozen Byte game. Yeah. So, it's my mistake. So Frozen Byte, and it's so Has Been Heroes is you can get it as a physical copy. I think it's an EB Games exclusive.
I got it as a physical copy from GameStop.
Yeah, I think it may be an exclusive to GameStop down there. But basically, the way that I would describe this is a lane-based real-time strategy game that is similar to. I think you said it really well, Marty. It's a combination of like Plants vs. Zombies in that sort of lane-based sense. Like it's very similar to that. But imagine if you could shuffle around the position of the plants that you have in Plants vs. Zombies, and you had to shuffle around. You only have 3 of them. They all have different properties, and you have to shuffle them around in real time in order to address threats that are coming on.
But you can only shuffle them at certain times.
And you can freeze time at any point in order to think more or to cast a spell or things like that.
Or to pray that the skeletons just somehow go away.
Yeah.
That's how I'm spending a lot of my time. It's like, yeah, there's 10 skeletons in this lane, and they're all like the first 8 are about to hit my rogue. So I'm just going to sit here on the pause screen and hope that they go away.
Yeah, and I just
something tells me that strategy doesn't work very well.
No, it absolutely does not.
No. So it's a very unique. I've never played a game like this before. Like Plants vs. Zombies, I think trained me for this game in a bad way, right? Where like the first little while that I played this game, I sat like I was playing it like I play Plants vs. Zombies, where you put the thing down and then you wait for the zombies to get to you, and like you just watch them do that and you don't stop and think. But the most important part of this game is that freeze time button, right? The L button. And for every time, like as soon as a spell is recharged or your one of your characters can make an attack, it's like, okay, stop, freeze time, really think about where you want to place that attack and or that spell or whatever, and plan about 3 or 4 moves in advance, because as soon as you attack, then you're going to have the opportunity to swap locations with another character, and after you do that, then they can attack, and then you can swap again. And so you're really thinking about that. And one wrong move might mean that you leave your guy open to attack, and then he's dead, and then you're done your run, right? It's a roguelike. And so the whole purpose is play through the entire game, basically, which will probably take you, what, like 15 minutes for a run of the game? Something like that?
It depends on the path you take.
Yeah,
because that's one of the things too that we need to mention is that you're in control of the path you take through the different regions. And how many regions do you have to get through before you beat the game?
I have beaten the final boss of the initial two world run. It's 2 maps initially. I have beaten that boss. I have had a successful completion of this game. Which now every run that I do, it's actually 3. So
it adds a world or it adds a zone each time you complete it.
I don't know about that. I don't know if it makes it that,
or maybe it does. I don't know. I don't know anybody who knows right now. That's how hard this game is.
It's very hard. It's a very hard game, and it also, like, I definitely feel like for $25 or whatever it costs, $20. If this sounds like a kind of game that you could really sink your teeth into, there is a ton of stuff to unlock. Like, you're going to be playing this for a long time. It's like kind of in the same sense that, again, because it's a roguelike, it's similar to The Binding of Isaac in that sense, where there's so much stuff to unlock and you can keep playing, and it's procedurally generated, and all those sorts of things. And as you play the game more, then you unlock more things that you can then run into. And so as you continue playing the game and getting better at it, then it becomes also more, there's more variety and more challenge in the kinds of enemies that you're running into. So that game, and just before, like between the Patreon hangout and recording, I played a couple of rounds, and now all of a sudden there are skeletons that have dynamite strapped to them and are running towards you, and I was like, oh
you are kidding me.
Wow.
You're kidding me. And here's the thing, if you've played that game, you know just how bad that is.
You can't die if you're undead.
Like
he didn't have any stamina. He didn't have any stamina, so at least it was just like,
it doesn't matter.
Just drained. And so like,
and one thing too that I'm still trying to figure out about this game is that there's also an interesting mechanic about placement damage as well, where when you switch your characters out, if they've gone far down the lane to make an attack, if you move them into another lane, they will damage enemies as it pulls them back to the line.
Whoa, what?
Yes. You didn't know about this?
There are so many.
Okay, so like, say you send out your knight, right? And he hits a plant at the very end of a line, like the very right side of the screen.
Sure.
If you switch him back to the middle and there's a huge line of skeletons there, he will do a minimal amount of damage as he returns to his place.
Oh my gosh.
So, but here's what it doesn't do. And we should mention this. When you damage enemies in this game, the first thing that you have to do is you have to knock their stamina down. And that is represented by green boxes next to their life bar. And so far, I have seen the most that I've seen, or the least you'll see, is none. You can eventually beat enemies so much, like you can knock their... If you knock the stamina down and you don't hit the number right on, like say it has 2 stamina and you hit for 3.
Yeah.
If you'll take his stamina down and then you'll launch that enemy to the back of the line. Okay?
Right. With that third hit, it will do a little bit of damage and it'll knock him back.
Right. But if you do an exact attack that takes out the exact amount of stamina, the enemy will become stunned, and then you can move another character into that lane and do a maximum amount of damage, a larger amount of damage. And there's also spells that you can cast. But one of the things that you can eventually hit an enemy so much that it does not recover stamina at all.
Right.
And then they're easy kill. But the biggest stamina that I've seen so far is 8, and that is a pain in the butt.
Well, and not only that, but there are abilities that will, like, I think the hot potato, for example, it says that it will light the guy on fire, and it also reduces the enemy by 20 stamina. Which means that there are enemies out there with 20 stamina, and probably much more, which is terrifying.
And that, but the downside to the hot potato is if you use it, and like I used it against this skeleton boss. It was like a pirate skeleton. If you use it, it stuns him, but as soon as you hit him, he flies to the back of the line. Like you don't get a free, you don't get a big hit on him. You don't get like the 3 hits or whatever you get. You get, like, if you use your rogue, you don't get 3 hits, you just get 1.
Yeah, so usually what you do with that is, like, cool potato, and then use the action doubling spell, and then hit him for 6.
The cool thing about the hot potato, though, is that if you place it correctly in like a group of enemies, it will catch all of them on fire.
Yeah.
And they'll take residual damage. There's so much to this game.
And there's so many different, like, there are so many different spells in this game too. And as you play it, even if you don't have a successful run, if you've defeated enough enemies, then you start unlocking additional abilities you can then find on the map and have for your run.
It's worth it just for the what you might call a burnt replay or a wasted play, because you might unlock something. Because each enemy that you kill gives you souls, and at the end of the round, when you go to heaven, you give them the souls of the defeated enemies, and St. Peter Gandhi there at the pearly gates will turn those into new items. The problem with that is, and one thing that I had to get, and this is a huge issue about the game, I think, because they don't do a great job of explaining to you, is if like it unlocks 2 items, you don't get those items. Oh no! You have to find those items in treasure chests.
You may have,
yeah, from enemies, something like that. There is absolutely zero help for you in this game. Like, and if you've never played roguelike games, one of the things that you have to understand is they're super difficult on purpose because they want you to die. And they want you to die so that you'll play again and unlock some more and unlock some more and unlock some more. And when eventually what will happen is you'll play enough that you'll be able to get past the first parts you were dying with ease, and then move on to the other harder parts. And basically, so instead of leveling up your character, you're leveling yourself up.
Well, and not only that, but like I feel like, and this has been my experience with, I've only really ever played one other roguelike, and that is The Binding of Isaac. And in both of those cases, it's like this elegant sort of combination of, I am progressing because, like in Has Been Heroes, you're unlocking additional items, and really those items are going to help you in your future runs when you run in, when you're able to buy those items. I've ran into an item, like I got this item that finally helped me beat the final boss on my first run, where it was basically like an ice meteor and it like came down and just destroyed everything in the area. Like if you put it in the middle, it would damage like all 3 lanes. It would, and freeze everybody, and it was crazy powerful. And I was like, yes, finally. But also, like you said, you're leveling up yourself in that as you actually kind of figure out, like, wait a minute, I'm getting better at this game. I'm figuring out some strategies. I'm beginning to wrap my brain around this game, that you actually are improving, and that is why you're finally able to progress, which is really satisfying.
The super satisfying part of this game is when combat clicks for the first time in your brain, and you begin to realize, oh, this is not as difficult as I thought. And I'm going to be honest with you, and I'm going to call out a review of this game that I saw online. Reviews for this game are all over the place, from anywhere from what I've seen, like a 4.5 to a 9. And the guy who gave this game a 4.5, I don't even think he gave the game a chance. Have you read this review?
I haven't, but I saw it.
I mean, just some of the things that he said are so blatantly not true. And I'm not going to say where it's at. I mean, if you just want to go search for Has Been Hero Review 4.5, you'll find it. But it's honestly like, did you play the game, or did you just decide you weren't going to like it from the very beginning?
Because it does. Here's to be fair, not to say that, like, if you're going to review a game and give it a score, you better freaking do your due diligence. But this game does not. This game kicks your butt for the first several hours. Like it, and that's just the way it is. As far as like you are going, like I think actually on our YouTube channel right now there is a walkthrough, and I was kind of right at the end of that stage where even as I was playing during the stream, I was starting to figure things out a little bit more. And then after I was done this, and at the end of that stream, I was like, you know what? I don't know if this is for everybody. This is really frustrating. I think I probably suck at this game. And then after I was done that stream, I went and played it for about another hour. And that, like, by the end of that second hour, I was like, oh, I'm getting it now. And I ended up actually beating that boss that time and had a successful run, unlocked a new hero, and I'm like, oh, I get it now. Okay.
It makes you feel so good when you're doing all these chain combos and the enemies are flying everywhere, and you've got like almost what I would call complete synergy between the ability for them to knock down stamina, because you start the game with 3 heroes. One has the ability to knock down one has a double attack, and one has a triple attack. And just finding ways to manage those. And like for me, it was probably sometime last night, I think, probably one of my later playthroughs, that I finally figured out how to get everybody into the lane that I wanted, even when I hadn't used them for that round. Like even if I wasn't quote unquote allowed to move them,
then you could
per se,
just like shuffling, like,
yes,
okay, I'm gonna move you. Know that your lane's technically not open right now, but I'm gonna move you up, and then I'm gonna move you down, and then I'm gonna move you, and like a step sort of thing where you get everybody where you want them.
And I do that every turn, and you have to.
Yeah.
I think I said to you earlier, this is like tower defense and chess had a baby, because your moves have to be so precise. They have to be. You have to know what your characters can do, and you have to have confidence in, if I go here, that's going to trigger this, and then when that triggers, then I'm going to move over here with this other piece that they're not expecting, and bam.
And it sounds really intimidating, and in a sense it is, but also it's really like once it clicks, you're like, oh no, I got this.
Yes.
But also you got you make one wrong mistake, and oh crap, the monk is in that lane, and the next enemy is a 3 stamina, and he can only do 2 hits. Oh crap! He's and then he's dead, and then you're done.
Yeah.
And that's all it takes for you to be done. Like one wrong mistake, and you're back to square one.
And this game has a one thing I do want to mention is it's not going to win any awards for its visuals.
No.
But I will say this: it does look like kind of a cartoony, kind of style visuals. This is totally not a game for kids.
No, totally not.
And I would say not based on content, because there's nothing content wise that I've seen that's way out of line. It's just like you need like some super cognizant processing power to be able to understand how to play this game.
You've got to have some serious on the fly processing speed of like decision, again, like very like you're constantly making split-second decisions and juggling things in your head, like, okay, well, I gotta have this guy here and this guy here, and okay, what am I doing? And I'm thinking 3 steps ahead, and also, oh crap, here comes this guy, I gotta respond to that now. And like, it's real. It makes me want to. It's also a very stressful game. If you don't like games that are stressful, then this may not be for you either. But like, if you want a game, looking at it, you think, oh, Plants vs. Zombies was like this nice game that I played when I was relaxed, and it was this sort of laid back experience. And that's not this game. Like, this game is quite stressful. Even though you can, like, the thing that I think saves this game is that ability to freeze time at any point, which means that you can take as long or as short of a time as you want in order to make your decisions. And so if you want to be very slowly calculating, really thinking about your decision, then you can do it that way too. And maybe that's more my ADHD coming out of like, oh crap, no, I'm going to do this. I want to do this. And, like, forcing myself to slow down has actually improved my gameplay in this game quite a bit.
Can I ask about something that you have mentioned? Because I think it's fun. I think it's funny that the Nintendo Switch has pretty much launched in the launch window with 2 roguelike games.
Yeah.
This one and The Binding of Isaac. I have heard so much about Binding of Isaac, and I really love Super Meat Boy, and I like just the whole package. I mean, there's parts of it that's a little crude and juvenile. Mm-hmm. And with Isaac, I know there's lots of blood and there's lots of body stuff.
Yeah.
Here's my thing. Is there, like, after reading about the game too and just kind of the backstory of it, I was kind of a little put off. Mm-hmm. Is there a way to play that game and get past all that? Or is it so deeply integrated? It was like the theme so deeply integrated into the game that you can't get past it to enjoy it.
I would say, I think this is going to be so different for different people. I would say, as far as
okay, so if you haven't played Binding of Isaac, it's basically about this kid who retreats to his basement because his mom turns into a religious whack job who wants to kill him because she thinks he's Satan.
Yeah.
And when he gets to the basement, he finds out that his basement is full of monsters for some reason. And he begins to delve further and further into his basement until eventually about 5 levels in, he kills his mother.
Yeah. Which she and like that sounds like the kind of the way you say it is very like
that's how okay, so that's how Wikipedia presents it.
Yep, for sure. No, I absolutely. And I think that on paper that is how it is, but also I want to compare not necessarily the art style and the grotesqueness, but the sort of subversive humor that sometimes is in like the Tomorrow Corporation games, where it's that sort of like that I think that maybe is the best tone that I want to say there, but it's not even really quite right either. Like where it's the like there are definitely religious themes there, like that, like you fight like the 7 sins or whatever. Like there's pride and there's this and there's that and like some of the power-ups are like one of the mechanics in the game is you may run into a doorway that is basically you can go in and sacrifice one of your hearts to get a power-up that is, but basically what you're doing is you're selling your soul to the devil and you're getting a power-up for it, right? So, and it's like this like black goat sort of guy, you know, humanoid black goat. And so I really think like if you are able to like it is, I mean, but it's because it's all like a very dark satire of all of those themes. And so if that is something that is really like, I would maybe say just go watch some of the Let's Plays. You know what I mean? Like go play some of the, like I don't think that I would give it to my kids. My son actually did sit and watch me play it once, but for him it was like, oh dad, that's the poop game. Right? Right? Because
yeah.
That's basically what it is, right? It's
like, and that's why like last week on the show I was asking about, you know, like it would be cool if there were games that you could password protect games.
Yeah.
Which I guess you can because there's the rating gate that your kids can't get past. But
yeah. And then they can just open it in your
then they can just switch over. Yeah. And so like I'd love to try the game, and the Switch like physical package has me intrigued because of the instruction booklet and the stickers and all that stuff, but I just don't know, you know, as and well, I'm not on detour long here, but dad topic here, you know, as a dad who's trying to raise my children in a religious environment, I'm afraid that might cause some like really hard questions to pop up that maybe I'm not ready to talk about with them.
Yeah,
we're 9 and 8.
We're not getting into the nuance of a whole bunch of stuff that they're not.
Yeah, how hard is it to explain to my 9-year-old that religion does make some people crazy?
Yeah.
And that makes them do really horrible things. Just like everything. I mean, there's lots of things that make people do terrible, horrible things that are supposed to be good. So I think for me right now, I have to pass on it. And so I'm glad this is a roguelike. Like I know we're going to talk about Snake Pass in a minute. I'm coming back to this more than Snake Pass right now.
Yep.
To Has-Been Heroes. Getting back to that.
I think, again, just as sort of the last sort of thing, I know that now is absolutely not the time that anybody wants to go back to their 3DS, but Binding of Isaac Rebirth is on the 3DS eShop for new 3DS only, and I have that on there, which is actually why I haven't bought it for the Switch, because I have it on my 3DS. And
how much is it there? Do you remember?
I think it's I want to say 20.
Oh, okay. That's way better than 39.
Yeah, it's much cheaper. So, and so I think that maybe that's if you watch some Let's Plays and stuff like that, and you think, you know what, maybe this is something that I'm interested in. Honestly, like if you were literally just paying attention to that game, it doesn't really cram the religious story down your throat in a narrative sense. Really, what it like. However, it's very clearly making satire of child abuse, right? Like that's not even a question. And so like there are things like that where it's like really more than anything, I think there is a reason why this is the poop game from when my son talks about it, right? Like, this is that gross poop game. That's gross. And that's kind of how he understands it and how he sees it. And he just kind of watched over my shoulder once when I played it. Because the majority of the game really is, it's a bunch of poops and flies, and every once in a while you go into a little place and there's, then you see a gross, it's gross, I think it's more gross than sacrilegious or in that sense. And there could be people who disagree with me on that, but I think that's how I take it. So, yeah. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that's one of those things that's different strokes for different folks, and maybe that's not a game that needs to, like, for me, might not come into my house right now, but for you, if that's something you want to dive into, then cool.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a whole nother discussion that I'm sure you guys had on one of your older episodes before I came on that we could have here about, how to manage, like, I want to play this game, but my kids are awake, or my kids are looking over my shoulder, or...
I remember talking about that when Bayonetta came out. Like, that was a similar...
Yep.
Yeah.
Had to play that demo at night.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Right on. So let's move on to Snake Pass.
Which is a game you can play with your kids.
Yeah. Well, I don't...
Oh...
Maybe. My son was really excited for Snake Pass. I am worried for his level of frustration tolerance. You know what I mean?
How old is your boy?
6.
6. Okay.
6. And he recently, I showed him Shovel Knight, and he was really excited. It actually really reminded me of when I first discovered Mega Man, and the concept of all of the robot masters of, like, there's this man, there's Fireman, and there's this man, you're right, or whatever. And I'm like, look at all these cool knights, and he was just like, his eyes were just huge. We're like, whoa, cool. What about this guy? And then he goes in to fight one of these characters. He's like, Dad, I can't do this part. Dad, I can't do this part. Dad, I can't do this part. And I'm like, oh. Dad, play this game for me. Is basically what it came down to.
Sit down, son. Let me show you how it's done.
Yeah, and so, like, Snake Pass is, I'm a little bit worried for when he gets back from his trip to show him this and be like, here you go, son. I don't know if this game is going to be for you because it's really hard.
Right.
It's definitely a fight the controls kind of game.
Did you expect it to be like this?
I don't know if I expected it to be as I expected to be able to catch on to the controls, and for the controls to actually work as intended, I guess. And my biggest concern right now, or my biggest issue is that yesterday I got to the 4th level, and you have to climb up. There's this big sort of tower. It's not really a tower, it's like a big block. And there's bamboo all the way around it, but you have to kind of wrap yourself around the bamboo to get and shimmy across. Mm-hmm. But there's not a whole bunch of, like, different intersections and whatever to wrap yourself around, like the little T's and stuff like that. It was much less, and it was also very high up. So I would wrap myself around this thing and then try and get over there, and then inevitably I would hit the, like, forward motion button, and I would fall off, or then my tail would start to fall off, and then I would try and get the bird to, like, pick up my tail, and then I'd fall off again. And it happened like 10 times. And the camera was honestly, like, I had to micromanage the camera, which it's been a long time since I played a game that I had to micromanage the camera. And it was in this game. Like, especially after playing Zelda, where it's just like, all right, just tap ZL every once in a while and you're good, right? Like, I kept doing that, and I was like, nope, that's not working. Is there a button for that? Nope. Well, crap. Okay, well, I can't reset the camera then, so I have to use the right stick to babysit the camera, because when I try and move forward, it is not dependent on the direction of the camera. It's dependent on what direction my head is at, and you know what I mean. Like that. Oh,
there's a lot of moving parts to this game. It's one of those games that you get and you're like, oh look, it's a cute snake and there's a hummingbird, and then why is this so hard to play?
Yeah.
I do like I'll tell you some of the things I like about it. Number one, you can change the controls to where you don't have to hold down that trigger to make your snake move. You can actually just press.
Try that.
You can just press up on the left stick. But one of the more frustrating and interesting elements at the same time is the fact that you actually have to make yourself weave back and forth like a snake. You can't just truck along. You can, but 2 hours later you'll get across the little tiny map. You have to move yourself like a snake to build up momentum to keep going faster. And another thing that I've noticed is that grip feature where you can grip onto stuff as you're climbing those bamboo poles and stuff, that is absolutely necessary to do.
Yeah.
For you to be able to get to a lot of places.
By the way, something to keep in mind as you're playing this game, there is a patch coming to fix the rumble, because I'm pretty sure that if I would have been playing this while my wife was at home, and because she's on a trip right now, she's on vacation, and so I'm at home by myself. So I was playing this in bed last night. I'm pretty sure that rumble would have probably woken her up, because it was like
is it as bad as Blaster Master's rumble?
No, it's worse, man. It's such a strong rumble, and I think because the HD rumble has two different rumblers. I don't know if you want to like whatever. Within the game, there's like a high power one and a low power one, which is how they kind of simulate the HD rumble. And they must have some setting turned weird because it is loud and it's just like very strong when you do it. Like if you land on something, it's just like really crazy. So anyway,
I do like the game though. I mean, I don't want people to get the impression that I don't like it. It's fun.
Yeah, it is.
And it's a totally different take on. I mean, yeah, it's like your typical 3D platformer, find all the MacGuffins, get out of the level type thing. But just the being the snake adds such a different element to it. I was like, if this were a map during a Mario game, 5 seconds and you're done.
Yeah.
Mario's flipping and flopping all the way through it, jumping and wahooing, and then you got the snake who's over here winding around something to be able to reach something else, and then you fall. Then you do it again, and you fall, and then you do it again, and this time you fall off a pit, and you have to go back and do something else you've already done. But at least it makes it enjoyable.
It is very satisfying, especially like playing those early levels. It is a very satisfying mechanic, and maybe I just need to go through and like kind of just get better at the controls, similar to Has Been Heroes, right? Whereas like until you really wrap your brain around those controls, and it becomes a second nature, because so many games, I think we take for granted now the fact that so many games use the same kinds of controls, and so you're able to pick it up really easily, right? And you just start and you're like, yep, I know exactly what I need to do in this game, and therefore I'm just going to go do that. And whereas like I know how to control Link because I've played so many other games with this kind of control, I just got to wrap my brain around some of the nuances of this specific game and I'll be fine. That is not true with Snake Pass at all. Like, in fact, that my biggest complaint about this game is it's not even the controls so much, it is the camera. The camera just is like, you know what? I want a more I want to have that camera reset button, and I want to have the just better behaving camera,
Yeah, but I've got to say kudos to Sumo Digital for not only pulling off a game that looks good, sounds good, but also, it's a try at a new IP. It's a try at a new style of 3D platformer. I don't think we could list snake platforming and snake climbing elements and in some of our favorite 3D games before now. So maybe it'll do good. I read an article earlier before we came to record that as it stands right now, the Switch and PlayStation 4 versions are kind of standing neck and neck for sales. So
cool.
That's a good sign. And I hope that this works out for them. and maybe we'll get another one, and maybe it'll actually have some of those improved ideas like you talked about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. And you were saying you got a friend who works on this, right? Just for like.
I do. I have a friend. It's funny. I met this guy on a Transformers message board back in the day, TFW 2005, and from there they started a Halo 2 clan.
Okay.
And he and another guy are Brits, of course, and one guy was Scottish, and this guy who works for Sumo was a Brit, and so I would come home in the afternoons from work, and they would be, of course, they're 6 hours ahead of me, time zone wise, so they would be like night for them, and they would be settling down to play Halo 2, and so they'd be really the only ones on, and that was the only time I could play. So we struck up a friendship and talked and played together, and then when I noticed that Sumo was making it, I thought, my friend Brad, he makes games for Sumo Digital. Oh, he's working on Snake Pass. How cool!
That's super cool.
Yeah, he was very excited that we to like be doing it for the Nintendo Switch. Like he was like, I'm so excited that we're developing a game for Switch for Nintendo, because he had never done that before. He had done games, I guess, and I know this is coming out on other platforms too, but like a lot of the other games that he had done, like they did the combat. Sumo, not a lot of people probably know this, but Sumo Digital did the combat engine, or some engine, maybe it was the racing engine for Disney Infinity 3.0.
Okay, didn't they do Sonic and All-Star Racing?
I believe so, yeah, and that was actually a pretty fun racing game.
It's pretty fun.
Yeah,
actually, that was one of my favorite games for Vita, so that was awesome.
Yeah, so I mean, he was just like really jazzed to like get to work for Nintendo, which means he probably had a prototype Switch in his hands earlier, and
he didn't even
had those sweet black Joy-Cons.
Nice, right on. Okay, well, with that, I think I'm looking at our stuff here. Maybe what we'll do is we'll do our new segment, and go from there. I think there's a couple of. We'll go through what we can. We're already at an hour and a half. So, Jesse, do you have anything you're playing, by the way? How's Zelda treating you?
Slow and steady. I'm kind of once I filled in the Rito area in the northwest, I went back to like the east side and started going counterclockwise from there, or clockwise from there, to get the southern region, and it'll be ending in the Gerudo Desert.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I'm up to 62 shrines. So I've gotten about half of them.
Nice.
There's 2 shrines I've unlocked that I abandoned, and I have to go back to them later.
A couple of that too.
And
Very
then,
cool.
This weekend I'm hoping to actually try to finish the game. That way, when Persona 5 comes out on Tuesday, I can just say, all right, now I'm playing this for a while, and I don't have to worry about Zelda. And I'll go back to Zelda later, or when DLCs comes out, or when I'm done with Persona, depending on what else happens.
Mm-hmm. Very cool. Oh, that's coming out next week, so we're going to get a Persona 5 update next week.
Probably not next week, because I'll only have one night to play it, but probably the week after that.
Cool. Right on. Very cool. All right. Well, with that, let's head into a new segment that we are calling...
Wobble Puffet? Wobble Buffet?
We're calling Justin Asks, which is, we talked about this earlier in the show. If you are not subscribed to us on YouTube, A, what are you doing? And 2, that's where Justin lives until he's back on the show in a couple of months. Like literally lives on our YouTube channel. So go and...
that's really the secret about why he's not going to be on the show.
Yeah, he's
in exile on YouTube Island.
Yeah. And so basically what we decided this week is, and we kind of came up with a way of A, encouraging people to go and check out our YouTube channel, but B, really giving him something to do, making him feel included. That's not it. But I'm actually really excited about this. every week what he's going to do is, what we're going to try and do is have it posted on hopefully like Monday. We uploaded this one today, but just a short question, some sort of a thing that he's thinking about, or a thought-provoking sort of idea. And this video is only 2 minutes, so I'm actually going to play the audio from it, and then what we're gonna do afterwards every week is read some of the comments about this and kind of discuss this in general, which I think is going to be really cool. I think it's going to be fun to get that engagement with everybody from the YouTube comments, and also if you guys have emails or Twitter comments and stuff like that, we'll bring some of that stuff in too. So I'll play this, and then we'll kind of, it's probably going to play. I'm going to watch this ad, and then we're going to do it. All right, here we go. Oh, we're even going to get our music. All right, then.
Hey guys, it's Justin, and today is a travel day for me for work. I'm traveling from Western Canada, actually into the east side of the United States, down into the Connecticut area. So it's great. I'm currently in Detroit. This is my third airport today. I have another one just before I finish off my day. And of course, I'm traveling with my Switch. There it is, where it is. There it is, Switch. In its hard case. Putting a lot of hours of Breath of the Wild in, which is awesome. But as I was walking through the airport today, I had this kind of weird self-realization that I missed the 3DS. I missed the Nintendo 3DS, and I'm going to tell you what I miss specifically about it. I miss Street Pass. Whenever I traveled, I always took my 3DS with me. I always turned it on when I got to the airport in the morning. And by the end of my day, I usually had 6 to 10, Street Pass people, me's in my plaza, saying who they were, where they were from, and what they've been playing. And there's such a fantastic socialized element to the Street Pass portion of the 3DS that I realized that I'm sort of missing it in the Switch. And that I really hope Nintendo grabs onto it. Maybe they'll add some kind of weird Street Pass NFC information. I don't know. But it's something that definitely feels isolating, I guess, as opposed to socialized in community as part of the 3DS always was. So I don't know, guys. That's my kind of quick realization as I'm walking through the airport, and I'm like, I'm not going to get any Street Passes because they don't exist really anymore. So I don't know. Are you guys missing Street Passes? Do you wish the Switch would have Street Passes? Do you wish there was some kind of social nearby connectivity where people could know that, hey, they have a Switch, I have a Switch, there's some kind of data sharing? I don't know. Let us know in the comments below. Thanks very much, guys. See you later.
All right. So, I don't know what you guys think, man. How do you, I think what's interesting from that, before we get into some of these comments, is the technical aspect of Street Pass and what Street Pass does to your battery life on the 3DS, like how badly it hurts the 3DS while it's in sleep mode. And that's one of the strengths of the Switch, is the fact that you don't, you put it in sleep mode and then you come back like 12 hours later and you lost maybe 1% battery life. I totally understand I hear what he's saying about that, about the cool Street Pass functionality. I think it's really awesome. It was really cool. And especially in situations like his, where he's doing a lot of traveling, you get a lot of stuff. You can get a lot of Street Passes. If you go to lots of conventions, you can get lots of Street Pass. But it's hard to have that. It's hard to get that bang for your buck outside of a few very specific scenarios nowadays. I don't know. What do you think, Marty, about?
I wish there was a feature on the Switch where I could open it up and I could search for nearby Switches and add them if the owner okayed it. Mm-hmm. Like I send them a temporary friend request that they can either then, because if you think about it, there some of the features of Street Pass, like what you've been playing and your look or whatever, are integrated into your profile screen, where you see who's online and all that. But at first I thought that's what you could do, but to add a Switch locally is like the two of you have Switches and they're both out and they're both trying to do this add local thing, and you push in different symbols.
It's like Miitomo.
It's like that, or it's also like pairing your Wii U gamepad to the system when it's been unpaired.
Right.
So I'd like to see an expanse of that. As far as Street Pass, I never really used Street Pass that much. Live in an area where not a lot of people have 3DSs, and so it was never really. I would Street Pass with my son. I'd Street Pass with my daughter. I would Street Pass with random people when we would go out of town and visit my parents. Maybe we ended up at a McDonald's or somewhere where there was a Nintendo zone, and you'd Street Pass with people who were there.
Yeah.
But to me, that's not a deal breaker. Again, like I would love to have that local search feature, but I literally have not touched my 3DS since I got my Switch.
Yeah.
To me, it's essentially dead. I don't want it to be dead. There's games on there I need to finish. I want to finish, and I don't want it to be dead, but it is because Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
If I have to pick one of them to take, I'm taking my Switch.
Yeah. I wonder with that, like, is there a way that you could incorporate the spirit of Street Pass without the technology of Street Pass and have it be maybe something like if they incorporated Miitomo into the Switch somehow? You know what I mean? Like something like that maybe you can visit your friend. See, and I think that maybe Miitomo is now Street Pass, and that's Street Pass 2.0, and that's what you're going to get. And you can go and visit all of your friends and see all of your friends' Miis. And I get the idea that like that's not Street Pass, but that might be what we're getting. That is Street Pass for today, because it's already on smartphones, and it's already it already exists, and I don't see them doing anything too much more than that. I could be wrong though. So, Jesse, what do you think before we read some of these questions or these comments?
Well, I was a big Street Pass user, but again, I haven't touched a 3DS since Switch came out, and I imagine most other people are pretty much putting their 3DS away. So even if I do go on a business trip and bring my 3DS, I'm not expecting to get, all the Street Passes that I used to. So it was a nice feature, but I understand, as you said, reasons why it's not in the Switch, and I'm okay with that too. I'd rather have the battery life than the battery drain.
Yeah. So here's some of the comments here. Chris White says, "I feel like Street Pass was purposely held back from the Switch to bring extra value to the 3DS during the transition. I fully expect the next evolution of Street Pass to be revealed for the Switch in the next year or two as the 3DS takes a boat ride to the great beyond." Adam Goswick says, "I haven't missed that at all. It was a nice little feature on the 3DS, but not one I need to have in order to have fun playing games. I really don't think that the 3DS makes that it makes the 3DS better than the Switch. Honestly, I've felt pretty meh about going back to the 3DS after having the Switch." The BitBlock, Josh Thomas himself, says Street Pass was a neat concept, but as time went on, it became clear that it was really only made for a Japanese crowd. I think that's a really good point. In America, for example, we're not so dense in population, so unless you're at an airport or convention of some kind, you won't get Street Passes. Now, if Nintendo wants to make a Street Pass mobile app, that could be interesting because everybody has their phone on them everywhere, no matter where you live. I have I don't know enough about the tech for Street Pass, but I feel like that I almost feel like isn't basically what Street Pass doing is like constantly sniffing for Wi-Fi hotspots, and then it finds another 3DS and it's like, oh, there we go. There's another Wi-Fi. There's a 3DS protocol Wi-Fi signal.
Yeah, more like ad hoc Wi-Fi as opposed to hotspot, but similar.
Yeah, that's what when I say that. Yeah. So like, would that even be possible? Like, can an iPhone app, for example, constantly look for Wi-Fi signals, or is that even possible? I don't think that the OS allows you to do that, does it? I think it would be GPS based. Is probably what it would be. They would have to have, but it would also be a lot of server on. They would have to be.
Then you got another Pokemon Go scenario where it's got to be the active live app, and if you close it, then nothing happens.
Right, unless it ends up pulling like a Google Maps sort of scenario, right? Whereas like it would have to ping your GPS location that often, and it would drain your battery like nothing else. Yeah. It's an interesting thing, but I don't know if a phone, like especially iOS, I don't think that iOS would allow you to do the same, have access to that same functionality that would be required.
Yeah, like in Android, I think you'd probably have to root it to get that access, so it's not allowed in iOS at all.
So it would have to be GPS based, which is and again, let's all remember how badly Pokemon Go crashed initially because it was trying to keep track of too many things at once. So, yeah, it's a possibility. Jeremy Peterson says, one of my favorite things about attending a con is gathering Street Passes. Not having Street Pass on the Switch feels like a piece missing. Alejandro says, I think the portability and the gaming library of the 3DS in totality is better than the Switch. Yes, there is one game that rules them all, but that one game is not better than all of the over 1,000 games combined on the 3DS. I think the Switch obviously has better hardware, but the reason I would say the Switch is better is because I haven't been able to put it down. I've played the Switch for over 10 hours straight on 4 separate occasions. Oh my gosh. It has me like the 3DS just never did. In 10 years, when both are gone, it'll be a very interesting question to answer. I think that's more, again, about like which is better, the 3DS or the Switch, but... yeah, and then we've got some other comments. Dark Link says, yeah, I'm going to miss Street Pass if the 3DS doesn't continue getting more iterations or successors. And more additional comments there. Leo Wright, Zeb Leblik, and Memo Boss also leaving comments. We want to mention you. Not going to read through all of those as well, but thank you, everybody, for your comments. Any final thoughts on that before we wrap up, guys? What are your... I
know Marty mentioned Picross earlier, and I think I mentioned it a few weeks ago. But playing a Picross-like game on a Switch will be a lot different than the 3DS because you don't have a stylus, and I don't think it'll be as fun. So
yeah, do you think they're going to do a touchscreen thing, or do you think they'll pull like a World of Goo style, using it with the pointer controls?
That won't work with pointer controls.
So it'll touch only.
Yeah. At least I don't think. Yes, it can be done. I don't think it'll work well.
What if Jesse they have a Joy-Con that has a little stylus and a little touch panel on here that you can then use a touch screen, like a trackpad, but it's a stylus.
Kind of like the Apple TV 4 remote.
Yeah, there you go. But it's like stylus based.
Maybe kind of like I don't know, like the PS4 controller in the back of the Vita kind of does similar things.
Yeah,
kind of not well, but good enough in a lot of cases. Just I think we're gonna a lot of those puzzle games that does use stylus, I think is good. We're just gonna lose.
I think like Picross 3D, similar sort of thing. Like I can see doing a touchscreen version of that. Maybe that, but what I hear you saying is that pencil and paper feeling of the stylus is gone forever, and that's, especially for Picross, that's a really sad thing.
What they're actually going to do is create a Joy-Con that has a square made up of smaller squares on it, and you're going to push down the ones that you want to break out.
Yeah. No, imagine.
I was kidding that. But I mean, think about how, like, if they could create Joy-Cons that provided a tactile experience.
I'm imagining just like what is that synthesizer? The Korg synthesizer, is that what it's called? It basically just looks like that. It's like a 4x4 grid. I like that idea. I don't know where I'm going with that. Oh, and I've just closed Chrome. That's good. Yeah. So that is. I think that's probably good for now. As far as our emails, we have other emails and stuff we're going to get to at some point. Were you going to say something, Jesse?
No.
Okay. So I think that just about does it. let's turn to the notes here. What do we have going on, guys, as far as future stuff going on? Of course, Retro Rewind. If you aren't playing Super Mario World, you're probably playing Breath of the Wild like everybody else. Eventually, we're going to get back to Retro Rewind. We still have to record our Double Dragon episode. We have Super Mario World that we're working on as well. It's coming. We'll figure that out. We'll probably record one of those within the next week or two, I would say, and we'll get back to it. But yeah, I think that's it's been a good show, everybody. Anybody thinking about, I guess, the other thing that I would do is just remind everybody about patreon.com/NintendoDads. That is what makes this show possible, and we really appreciate your guys' support. That helps us get as much coverage of different games as possible without breaking the bank for us. So I really appreciate that.
And I'll throw this out here. I'm going to try to live stream some Snake Pass either tomorrow or Friday.
Nice.
So if you haven't seen that yet, or you just want to tune in to hang out with me and do that, it would be great. We'll broadcast that on YouTube. I've got to get all my streaming gear figured out and see if it's actually going to be feasible to do. And yeah, so I might hop in for some Shovel Knight as well, some Spectre of Torment. There were some folks in our line chat who wanted to see me play that in particular. So
nice.
I'll be either way. Basically, take that as an announcement that I'll be getting into the streaming game here soon.
Very cool. I'm flying solo, so I may end up doing a little bit of streaming too. I'm trying to think. Maybe, I don't know. I've got like 10 games for the Switch, man. Like, you'd think I'd have something to play to stream. Maybe like I don't know, Fast RMX something. I don't know. We'll see. I
want to see you unlock another character in Has Been Heroes.
Oh, geez. Okay. Yeah, I'll see what I can do. I'm going to play a little bit more of that tonight, too. So, right on. Very cool. Well, is there anything else before we wrap up the show, gentlemen? All right. I will take that silence as a no. Very cool. Well, thanks again. A huge thank you to our Patreon producers, Tim, Sheldon, and Dave. And of course, if you guys want to support the show, even $1 a month, we'll get you in with all of the Patreon posts and stuff, and the Patreon hangout. So huge thanks to our Patreon, everybody over there on Patreon. You guys are amazing. Of course, if you want to follow us on all the social medias, you can do that on Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram at NintendoDads. You can email us nintendodads@gmail.com. If you want to watch our videos and such, you can follow us on Twitch and YouTube. Search for Nintendo Dads. You'll find us over there. Call in and leave us a voicemail at 929-25-NDADS. That's 929-256-3237. Huge thanks to OC Remix for our music throughout the show, as well as to Carter Johnson and Adam Leonard for amazing artwork. If you want some sweet Nintendo Dads merch, go over to tiny.cc/Nintendo Dads store. And finally, if you want to change the world, head over to iTunes, leave us a 5-star review. Written reviews are even better. That is how the Nintendo Dads gospel is spread to the world. And we've got people doing that. We've got people who aren't doing that. You know who you are. Repent and do better. Now is the time to make a change in your life and leave us a 5-star review on iTunes. Finally, if you want to subscribe to the show and keep up with everything we're doing, you can subscribe on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, and of course VGTribune.com. For me, for Jesse, for Marty, and for the Irish Justin, we will see you next time. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to Nintendo Dads.
Wobble Puffet, Wobble Buffet.